Hello guys, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. I'm excited to have you here once again, and I believe you've been keeping well and you've been doing great. Today we're going to be talking something very important, something I've heard a lot of people ask question on. Both my friends, my colleagues, they've approached me to explain bits and pieces of this particular topic. So it's something that is very important for you if you're an employee here in the United Kingdom and you are paying tax as you are earning. So it's something, is a video you would not want to miss. Make sure you pay close attention. I'm going to be demystifying everything about income tax. After watching this video, I believe you will not have any doubt or any confusion anymore concerning the subject of income tax. All right, if you've not subscribed at this point, I would like to appeal to you to please click the subscription button and the notification bell. This is one of the way you encourage us to release useful content to you, my wonderful audience. All right, that being said, we're going to be going straight into what we have for today, which I've termed income tax. I believe this is not the first time you've come in across the word income tax or the word taxation. Taxation is simply a compulsory levy we pay to the government or to the state for the smooth running of the state. Okay, and by virtue of being an employee, you are subjected to being taxed. Whether you are being taxed as you earn or you are arranging your own tax individually. But for the purpose of today's video, I'm just going to be paying attention to the pay, those that are receiving their income from the pay as you earn scheme. Taxation or tax as a whole is a very broad topic which I'm not looking at covering the whole of it today. My focus, as I've already stated, is on income tax, and I believe by the end of this video every sort of confusion or question you have would have been answered, because guess what, at the end I've got some questions lined up. Some of my friends have asked, or some people in some group I belong to have asked. So I've taken some of those questions to make it as practical as possible so you can have a full grasp of what income tax is all about. Okay, that being said, now I'm going to be going into the next thing. I've talked about what tax is all about. It's just a compulsory levy on your income being paid to the state or to the government for the smooth running of the state. Okay, and then when it comes to income tax, especially in the United Kingdom, there is a personal allowance that every employee is entitled to before he or she start paying tax on his or her income. So it's a very good thing that not all your income is going to be taxed. There is an amount of your income that will be tax free. So after you start earning above that amount, you start paying tax. And the amount, the tax free amount, the personal allowance is £12,570. That's the personal allowance. So £12,570 of your income on a yearly basis is tax free. What this means is that this money is not touched by the government. You're not expected to pay any tax on this particular amount. So after you start earning above £12,570, that is where you start paying tax. Okay, and then when it comes to taxation, there are different bands. Okay, we have the personal allowance, which is obviously £12,570. This is the income which you are not expected to be taxed on. Then we have the basic rates. Okay, then we have the higher rates, and also we have the additional rates. Okay, basic rates, higher rates, and additional rates. The basic rates, you are being taxed from 12,570 £570 to £50,270. So any earning between 12,571 pounds to 50,270 pounds, you pay a tax of 20%. So you pay a tax of 20% from 12,571 pounds to 50,270 pounds. That is for the basic rate. Then the higher rate is from where the basic rate stops. So it starts from 50,271 pounds to 150,000 pounds. So any income between 50,271 thousand pounds to 150,000 pounds, you are being taxed at the rate of 40%. Make sure you are following me. In between the video, I'm going to be giving you a tip that will help you maximize this knowledge, okay? And then on the additional rate is anything greater than 150,000 pounds. So, and that's you are being taxed at the rate of 45%. So you can see the higher your income, the higher you are being taxed. So one advice I will give to you, as much as possible, if you are not in the high income, if you are not an high income earner, as much as possible, you want to maintain your income annually within this bracket of income. You don't want to start earning more than 50,270 pounds. How do I mean? I'm not trying to discourage you not to earn more, but then this is the logic behind it. If you should start earning something like, let's assume you go above these 50,270 pounds and then you start earning 55,000 pounds annually, that automatically takes your tax rate to 40%. And when you do the mathematics, when you check annually, you see that your take home from earning 55,000 pounds will be much lesser than if you are earning 50,270 pounds. So this is very important that you note it. It is safer you earn within this bracket, or if you are going to exceed this bracket, then you start looking at earning far beyond the 50,270 pounds threshold, because if you just earn just above it, it increases your tax rate, and then the increase you are having is not really significant to cushion or to give you that extra net income when the tax is being removed. So it is important to take this into cognizance. I fell a victim of this thing. I went above the earning of 50,270 pounds at some point, and I regretted that, because the tax I was being placed on was 40%, and that cut most of my income. So a safer thing to do is to aim far above or far beyond 50,270 pounds, and so that even if you are being taxed 40%, you know your net income annually will be more than someone that is within this tax range. Okay, I believe that is straightforward as possible. So these are the three bands of tax in the United Kingdom: the basic rate, the higher rate, and the additional rate. And this is the income that falls within this tax rate. So I believe this part is very straightforward for you. If at any point you've got a question, feel free, or you are not really clear on what I've explained, feel free to rewind this video and watch it again. And also you can comment on the comment section on this video. I'll be more than happy to talk you through everything. Okay, going on to the next thing I've got to say concerning income tax. There are things, if you have seen a pay slip, a typical pay slip in the United Kingdom, you know it's normally something like this. Is the most popular one for those I know, 1257L. You can see that your tax code has got this. So that will take me to tell you about what a tax code is. A tax code simply is just a code given to your employer by the HMRC so they can effectively calculate how much tax you are to be paying and which band you are to fall into. So this is one of the most popular one because most people in United Kingdom is said to earn between £12,571 to £50,270. So it made this the most popular tax code, and I'm going to be explaining this in a moment. When you see something like this, you see these are numbers, and then this is a letter. So this is what a tax code normally looks like. It comes with a number and then a letter at the end of it. So what does this mean? It means that it's just how did they get to this point? Basically, they removed the last digits here and then they got to this, because remember we said your personal allowance is £12,570. So if you are earning anything between £1 to £12,570, you won't be paying any tax in the United Kingdom. That is your personal allowance. So what it means is that 1257L is your personal allowance. Is a tax code that simply means your standard tax-free or personal allowance. So that will now lead me to talk about the letters we come across mostly in tax. So we have letter M, letter N, letter N. I believe this is clear enough. Letter T and OT. Okay, these are like the most basic here. There is BR, DO, D1, and okay, and NT. I believe you can see all of this. So all of these things means different things. And then there is still W1, M1, and K. These three things means almost the same thing, just different time period. And then W1, M1, and K. Yeah, I'm going to come to that point. So as I've already stated earlier on, L is just your personal allowance. Okay, this, whenever you see L at the end of your tax code, for instance, I gave an example of 1257L. So what this simply means is that £12,570 of your income is tax-free. That is your standard tax-free income. You are not expected to be taxed on this money. So some people's own can be 910L, 800L, as the case may be. Once you see L ending your tax code, what it means is that the number preceding it, multiplied by 10, that is your tax-free income for that year. Okay, so in this case 910L, it means your tax-free income for that year when multiplied by 10 is £9,100 of your income is tax-free. That is what it simplifies. That is what it implies, sorry. So and so on. So once you see L ending your tax code, it means that is your personal allowance. M here means marriage, you are being taxed. So that's what the letter M means. So when you come across M in your tax code, for instance, you see something like 13827M, so it means your partner has transferred 10% of his or her personal allowance to you. N is just the direct opposite of M. N is when sorry, I've been making a mistake. M is when you receive 10%. Don't get that twisted. M is when you receive 10% of your spouse's personal allowance. Then N is when you have transferred 10% of your own personal allowance. Let me stress on this again. M is when you've received 10% of your partner's personal allowance. So it increases your personal allowance and reduces your tax. Then N is when you have transferred your own personal allowance to your spouse. It now means that your spouse's personal allowance is increased and his or her tax is reduced. So you shouldn't get this mixed up, okay? So it's just the opposite of the other, and it's still 10%. And then that is for N. You've transferred marriage allowance, you've transferred 10%, okay? You transfer 10%. And then the next thing is T. So whenever you see T in your tax code, it means other factors have been put in place, other things have been factored into your tax code, okay? The calculations considered other things as well. And then that leads me to the OT. So what it means is that your personal allowance have been used up, okay? Or maybe your employer is not really sure what your tax code is, probably because you've just started a new job, so they just placed you on OT. They are not quite sure what your personal allowance is, or maybe you've used up your personal allowance in the preceding tax year, so therefore you are not entitled to any personal allowance in the present tax year. This can be a situation where you are working in more than one job, and then mistakenly the HMRC were using 1257L on both jobs. Therefore you are having more than the normal tax, more than the normal personal allowance you are entitled to have. So that is for OT. It means you have used up you've either used up your personal allowance, or you started a new job. Your employer is not really sure what your current tax code is. Then all you just have to do is to phone up the HMRC. If you are sure this isn't correct, you phone them and then get it sorted out, and then they will send the correct tax code to your employer, and then it will be adjusted, okay? And then the next one is the basic rate. We've come across this before, and this is when you are taxed 20%, okay? The basic rate is when you start being taxed 20% after your personal allowance have been taken off, okay? This is most time the case when you do more than one job, okay? Your first job will be placed on the personal allowance 1257L, 910L, 850L, as the case may be. And then your second job is usually most often placed as a basic rate, where you get taxed the standard 20% rate of your income, okay? And then quickly, the next one is the D0. Or what does this mean? All your income is taxed at the higher rate. And remember, what did we say the higher rate was? 40%. So everything you are earning with this tax code, it means you are paying the tax. You'll be paying 40% tax on that particular income. And then the next one is for the additional rate. Remember, I made mention of all of these things when I started. Additional rate, it means you'll be paying a tax of 45%. You'll be paying a tax of 45%. It's as straightforward as that. And then the last one I've got here is NT, which means you are not being taxed. So it means you are not paying any tax here, okay? That's what it simply means. On any income you have with this tax code, it means they are not deducting any tax from you. And then all of these things, if you see any of these things in your tax code, it means all these things simplify emergency codes, okay? it might be the case that they are not really sure what your tax code is, so that you are just using it for the week or for the month or for the time being until they are able to sort out what your tax code is. Then two other things that are not really a tax code but you can also come across on your pay slip is what we call kumu and non-kumu. So what this means is cumulative and non-cumulative. It's just an English word. When you say cumulative, it means they are taking into cognizance all your earning for that tax year. And when you say non-cumulative, it means they are not taking into consideration everything you've been earning or not earning from the beginning of that tax year. So they are just tasking you in the present earning. Okay, why? For the cumulative, they will take into consideration your previous earning. If you've used up all your personal allowance, that will affect the amount you'll be paying. If you have not used it, it will also affect the amount you'll be paying. So that's cumulative. And non-cumulative is just the opposite, when your previous earning is not taken into consideration. Your tax code, you see something like 1257 Cumu L, stuff like that. Okay, I believe this explains everything you must have come across on your pay slip, and I believe I've done justice to this, and I believe this has been made as easy as possible. And now quickly, I'm just going to talk through some examples. Like I said, it's just a bonus for you for staying up to this time and permit me to use my phone. I've taken out some questions from some of the groups I belong to, and some of the personal questions friends and have been asking me. So the first question here I've got here, it says, please, my tax code has changed from 1257L to 1271L. What does this imply? So this person is asking me, or is asking on the group, 1257L, the tax code changed from this to this. So what this simply implies is, if you look at it, there is an increase from 1257 to 1271. It means the person's personal allowance was increased, or has been increased by, I think, 18 or by 14 pounds. So it means the person is paying lesser tax, okay, using this new tax code. Okay, this might be as a result of not using up your personal allowance in the previous tax year. So most likely it has been brought forward to be used in the present tax year. I believe that answered that one. Then the next question here, she is asking 847 L Cumu. So remember, I talked about this. So she's asking, please, the above tax code, is the above tax code correct? What exactly does it mean, please? So remember, Cumu, basically, once you see Cumu in your tax code, what it means is that they are taking into consideration your previous earning. It's not really the thing that determines how much you are being taxed, but it's just to let you know that your previous earning is being taken into cognizance. Then 847L, like I've already explained, once you see L, it means this amount multiplied by 10. That is your personal allowance for that tax year. And you can see it is lesser than the standard 1257. It might mean you overused your personal allowance from the previous tax year, and now this is what you are left for this particular tax year. If you think this isn't correct, all you have to do is to phone up the HMRC and get it sorted out with them. Then the next question I have here, she's asking, so I noticed the tax code changed from my first job, which is 1257L to 900L. 900L non-cum. What does this mean? Again, if you have been following this video, you understand that a change from 1257 to 900L means there, first of all, there has been a reduction, or there's a reduction in the person's personal allowance. So the person is only entitled to 9,000 pounds worth of personal allowance. And then non-cumulative, meaning they are not taking into consideration your previous earnings. So it might be worth phoning the HMRC to see why that is the case. Probably they are not sure what your previous earning has been or what salary you've been on before now. So it is important you also phone up the HMRC to get it sorted. If this is for your second job, basically most times it is usually basic rate. You want to speak to them to see why they've placed you on this. And quickly, I've got another question here. My bank tax code is OTW1M1. Do anyone know what this is, please? So what is OTW1M1? Remember, when we're talking about the tax codes, I mentioned of OT. Okay, OT means that you've used up all your personal allowance, and then M1W1, they are just emergency tax code. Again, whenever an emergency tax code is used for you, it implies that the employer are not sure what your tax code should be. So you need to phone the HMRC to get that sorted, so the right tax code can be given to you, because without having any personal allowance, it means you'll be paying more tax on your income, and that will reduce your net earning over time. And then lastly, I've got a lot of questions here, but I'm trying to keep this video within 30 minutes, so it's not that long. Last question I'm going to be taking is similar to the one I've taken before. She's asking, please, if one have a tax code of 900L non-cum, what does it mean? I think I've explained something like that here. So when you have a tax code of 900L non-cum, what it simply means is that they are not taking into cognizance your previous earning, and your personal allowance is just 9,000 pounds. So I believe this video has been of great importance to you, has been very useful to you. If you find this video valuable, I really want to plead with you to click the subscription button and the notification bell. This is one of the way you encourage us to release useful content to you. And if any of this thing is not clear to you, feel free to reach out to me via the comment section on this video, and I'll be more than willing to answer any question you have. For those of you that know me personally, feel free to reach out to me on my DM. And I believe this video has been of great usefulness to you, and I really want to appeal to you to click the subscription button and the notification bell, so that whenever we release useful content like this, you are among the first set of people to get notified. Thank you once again for watching up to this time, and I believe your time has not